So this is a tutorial to make Jade's little beanie hat. I don't know about anybody else, but I was obsessed with Jade and Yasmin when I was growing up, and specifically this outfit. Like, I even bought shoes that look like this, but I always wanted this hat. They don't sell anything like this, really. I mean, I haven't seen anything. So I've been wanting to make this hat for a long time. So I started by looking for the correct yarn, which took me so long, by the way. This is the closest I could find. As you can see, there is kind of some white stripes in there. This does not have white. But when I tell you this is quite literally the only thing that is as close to that pattern, I mean it. I have scoured everywhere. So, the name of this yarn is the Yarn Inspirations Caron, I don't know how to say that, Cinnamon Swirl Cake. And it's in the color Hibiscus. I got this at Michael's. I have not been able to find it anywhere else. I'm not sure if other stores don't carry it or if it's just online. I don't know. But when I go to Michael's, it's there. I will warn you, it's about $12 for the one skein, which I know for yarn that's kind of expensive. But this is a one skein project, and this thing is pretty big. I honestly had yarn left over when I made this hat. So, it's a pretty good deal. And you get a hat out of it for 12 bucks. I think that's pretty fair. So, all you're going to need, and let me show you the two different ways that you can wear this. You can wear it like this, or you can unravel this and wear it like this. So, however you want to wear it. All you need is just yarn, and you don't have to use this particular color. This is just for people who actually want to remake the Jade hat. But I imagine this hat will look really cute with any colors. And a 4mm hook. So, if you're a beginner, this is perfect for you because all you need to know how to do, single crochet, double crochet, and to braid, basically, because for these, you just need to braid. So, if you know how to do all three of those things, then you are set. Yeah. So, let's get started with that.
Okay, so we're going to start out with doing the chain for this hat. This is the one that I've already made. So the size that my head fits is about 11.5 inches across. So all the way around would be double that. So that's like 23-ish inches, between 23 and 24 inches. You could also measure your head, like around your forehead, and get how many inches it is. And you want to make sure that the chain, without like stretching it too much, is about the size of all the way around. So for this hat, for this size, which this is just a standard size, I don't think that my head is large or small, it's probably average, I did a chain of 86. Okay, so we now have our chain, we have 86 stitches, and now we want to join this end to this end to make a circle. So you just want to make sure when you do this that there's absolutely no twists in this line at all, because if you do have a twist, it's going to be upside down when you do your first row. So I like to just pull it completely straight just to make sure that there's absolutely no twists, and then I like to join it like this. So you're going to put your hook into the very first stitch, and some people do it through the bump, some people do it through the middle of the stitches. I do it through the middle, but you're going to yarn over and do a slip stitch into both loops. So now you're left with this and a circle. So to start this, you're going to do a chain 2, and then you're going to double crochet into every stitch all the way around. So I realized after I made that video that you really can't see up close. So here's a good up close view of doing double crochets all the way around. And when you get to this point, it is going to be very tempting to go into this stitch right here, but that's actually, it already has a stitch right here. So those two that you do, those chain 2 that you do in the beginning, that's the stitch that goes in that spot, so you don't need to. What you are going to do is you're going to put the hook not in the chain, but this first loop right here, and just do a slip stitch and pull through. And then to start your next row, again, just chain 2. And just to show you, you're going to go into this very first stitch. So you're not going to skip and go to this one. You're going to skip, or you're going to go straight into this one right here and do a double crochet. So you'll want to do this until you have 22 rows. So, and the other nice thing too is when you have this, the double crochets are really easy to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can just count it that way. And you can also measure too if you want a specific size, but it should be about 22 rows before we move on to the next part. Also, it should be about 10 inches from here to here when you're done with the 22 rows. So when you get to the 22 rows, what you're going to do is you're going to cut the yarn, and then you're obviously going to end this with a slip stitch just to make sure it doesn't come undone. And then we're going to work on the braid parts. Okay, so now we're going to cut these strings to make these little braids. So I measured mine, and you want them to be about between 25 and 27 inches. So between here and here, you're going to want to cut it. And what I do is I just cut one. So I'm going to cut this one at 27, and then I just start stretching them and trying to keep them about as even as that one. And this sounds insane, but you're going to cut 58 of these. So, and then once you're done with those 58, you'll have to cut another 58 for the other braid. So you're going to do about 27 inches and 58 of these strings. Okay, so when you have all 58 strands, and again, I know this looks crazy, but just trust the process. You're going to pick it up. You're going to want to try and get all of these as even as possible. So kind of at the same point where the ends are all kind of meeting at the same spot, because some of them will be lower than others. So you just want to make sure and try to get all of them kind of even. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but they're all kind of around the same starting spot. So what we're going to do next is we're going to turn this into a knot. So to do that, you're going to take the loop and you're going to loop it around your fingers and pull it through, and try your best to get every single string through this loop. Some will try to hide underneath. Just pull them all. Oops, I missed one. There we go. Okay, and then when you get them all pulled through, you're going to tighten it as much as possible and try to get it to the end too as much as possible. There should be a little bit dangling off like this, and then you should have the rest of the string like this. I didn't split it, like I didn't count and split. I just then took equal parts, thirds, to start the braid. So then you'll just braid it, and you'll want to do it pretty tight too. You don't want it to be too loose, and you'll start braiding this whole part until you get close to the end. I'll tell you how long you want it to be. Just give me 1 second. So starting at the knot here, you want the braid part, so not the knot part, but you want the braid part to be about 13 inches long. So once this gets to be 13 inches, and then you're going to stop. Okay, so once the braid is about to 13 inches, we'll finish up the braid. And then you're going to end it with a knot as well. So you'll do the same thing. You'll wrap this part around your finger, and you'll pull the ends through the loop. And if it's okay if some of them are kind of short or some are longer than others. We're going to try to trim them to be as close to the same size as possible, but it's okay. That's like part of the look too, is like the fun little, you know, strings at the end. So this is what you'll do, and you'll do this twice. Okay, so now I have my 2 braids and I have my square, right? So we didn't close this one or anything. So now we're moving on to attaching these. So to do this, what you're going to do, and I'm going to pick this side because this one has a few more strings that are uneven. I'm going to put this side on the inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the knot right here on one side. Then on this side, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put one side right here. Okay, like so. And if it's too hard to sew this shut with this one hanging on this side, then you can take this one out until you get to the very end. But I'm just going to show you how we're going to basically crochet this into the hat. So you're going to take your yarn, and you should have some left, you know, and then you're going to make a loop. You're going to take your crochet hook, and this is what we're going to do. So you're going to have this little braid, the knot is going to be in there, and you're going to take the very furthest one that you possibly can. You may not be able to get to this very end loop, but we're going to put one in, and then we're going to put it through as far back as you can push. So if we're here, the farthest one I could probably push to is probably this loop right here. Okay, so here we are. We're wedging that hook between these two as tightly as we can. Here's the loop that we just made, and we're going to slip stitch through both like so. And then we're going to go into the next hook, and this hook the adjacent side, and we're going to do a single crochet. Then we're going to go into the next one and the adjacent one across, and we're going to do a single crochet. Same all the way to the end. So you're going to do a single crochet, and there should be a corresponding stitch that is across that you want to go through as well, because we're closing this seam. So you want to make sure that you hit every single loop, or else one is going to be out. So just make sure whenever you put one through, you're putting it through the adjacent one across to close it up with a single crochet. So when you were sewing or we're closing this with a single crochet, there should be this one right here. I just tuck this in so that it ends up on the inside of the hat. So when you're going through, you don't have to worry about weaving that end in. You just weave it to the inside, basically. Making sure not to miss any stitches. Okay, and then we're getting close to this edge here, so I'm gonna put this back in. So I'm just gonna keep going until I get to that edge. Getting closer. Again, I'm trying to make sure I'm not gonna miss any single stitch. And we're getting closer to the knot. Okay, and then this is where we're gonna have to like push it as far as we can. So I'm gonna see how many more stitches I can do. If I can get this one too, I'm gonna do my best because we want it to be really secure in there. Can I do one more? Okay, I think this is gonna be the last one. And we know that this is gonna be secure, right? So once we get here, this isn't moving, this isn't coming out at all. We're going to do a chain. We're going to cut this. We're going to pull it through. Here we go. So now this is what we're left with. Okay, so we have these two braids. They're sewn into the hat. Literally the only thing we have left to do is to sew in these ends. So to sew in the ends, you're going to obviously attach this to a needle and we're going to weave them in. So once you're done weaving in all the ends, it should be all done. The only other thing that you can do is maybe if some of these little strings are like really like imbalanced and you need to trim some, you can trim some, or you can keep them short. It's completely up to you.
Thanks for watching this tutorial. I really hope that you like your jade hat. I totally love this pattern and I hope you guys love it too.